Boy, this hearing, I don't know how much of you been able to catch today, has been really quite interesting. I think sometimes, Pete, that the way these hearings start out with everybody trying to get a hot soundbite that makes the evening news, and clearly it was Matt Gaetz who won that contest today. And then the other side trying to rehabilitate the witness or try to undo the points that have been made in the previous round. I'm not sure it's the best way for us to get information about what's going on with an agency as important as the FBI.
No, you're exactly right. I mean, it's a stage, and everyone's performing for a different reason, and very little of it. I mean, I don't want to say that harsh questioning isn't meant to get to the bottom of it, but of course Christopher Wray is only trying to play defense on his agency and make it look like nothing has ever gone wrong, and the priorities are not misplaced, and they're not applying justice unequally. But it does come down to one side defends the witness, the other side impugns. But I still think it's important, and maybe nothing actually comes of Christopher Wray testifying. But if you get Rob Walker or Tony Bobolinsky, or you get some of these people involved in the Hunter Biden and the Biden crime family, you get them under oath in front of committees, I think you can get meaningful revelations even though both sides are dug in. So it's really all we have right now. I mean, it's imperfect, but without House Republicans and without oversight and without hearings, none of this happens.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that we wouldn't even be, as far along in this process as we are today if it had not been for the fact that Republicans took control of the House. So elections do have consequences, and Republicans now have subpoena power, and that is, it's like the difference between chicken salad and chicken poop. Being in the minority in the House and being in the majority in the House is like the difference between chicken salad and chicken poop. Because, you really, when you have that subpoena power, you really can start to get at things. And I think James Comer of Kentucky has been quite effective so far in starting to put together the framework of this case that apparently the Department of Justice didn't have any interest in going after.
It's true, and I think in order for him to make a meaningful dent, it is prudent to wait to call or subpoena certain witnesses until you have the receipts, which is why the behind-the-scenes work on bank records, subpoenaing bank records, connecting the dots and the threads is significant so that you can bring in these different actors and point to bank accounts, point to deposits, point to meetings, point to pictures, and have them under oath with other people saying otherwise, either lie or spin a story or admit it. I think that's why it's frustrating, because you want it to happen tomorrow. But if you don't have receipts, then you get stonewalling, you get I don't know, I don't remember, you get the Hillary Clinton treatment, and nothing ever comes of it. So I salute what many of these chairmen in the House on the House Republican caucus side are doing. It just takes some patience, and it's frustrating for me as much as it is for everybody else.
Yeah, here's a little bit of what Matt Gaetz had to say to the director of the FBI today that I thought was interesting, and I want to know if you agree or disagree with it.
You preside over the FBI that has the lowest level of trust in the FBI's history. People trusted the FBI more when J. Edgar Hoover was running the place than when you are. And the reason is because you don't give straight answers. You give answers that later a court deems aren't true. And then at the end of the day, you won't criticize an obvious shakedown when it's directly in front of us. And it appears as though you're whitewashing the conduct of corrupt people.
Respectfully, Congressman, in your home state of Florida, the number of people applying to come work for us and devote their lives working for us is up over 100%.
We're deeply proud of them, and they deserve better than you.
Well, I mean, Matt Gaetz takes those prisoners. But about the part about the FBI, how badly has it been damaged? And do you think he's right when he says that more people have trouble with the FBI today than back during the days when it was being run by J. Edgar Hoover with all the excesses of that era?
It's an interesting comparison. I don't think there was as much public real-time examination of the conduct of the FBI as there was then. I mean, just information is so ubiquitous now. People can see a bias or see a priority in a way they couldn't before. I just look at it my own life. Like, I would always have been reflexively supportive of the FBI. Okay, there's an FBI raid. Okay, there's an FBI criminal investigation. Okay, the FBI are looking into it, and say, okay, well then, hey, that's important, that's significant, it must be critical, and it'll be above board. And I just don't think that way anymore. When I get a statement from the FBI, I go, okay, who's spinning what? Or when there's an FBI raid, I said, okay, why that spot and not somebody else? It's that slow tick of skepticism toward an agency. And you can't point to one particular case You can't point to one particular agent or even leader. Christopher Wray is not a good FBI director, but it's not just him. It is off the rails, and its trust will, I think, only go down as it is unwilling to answer even more questions.
Well, okay, fair enough. Now, our current president of the United States is in Lithuania right now for a big NATO meeting. I think he met with Zelensky today. Last night, he bailed on a meeting of NATO leaders and decided to send the Secretary of State. He's looking very weak on the international stage. There was some pictures taken of him at the beach at Rehoboth, I think just a few days before he departed, and he looked so weak that he could barely drag a canvas chair across the sand to a location where he and Jill wanted to set up their little, beach day. And it just, I keep looking at him and I say, every day, is it just me, or do you think this guy is looking weaker by the moment? Yeah,
I mean, the battle at Rehoboth Beach, Joe Biden in the beach chair. I mean, it is. You are totally onto it, Brian. Every day it seems to get worse, and that's why you're seeing the rumblings now. Some articles written, some Democrats coming out, some mostly off the record, saying it just can't be Joe. And the pressure will mount, I think, because if they don't make a change soon, they can't have a process to pick somebody, and the default is Kamala Harris, and nobody wants that. So it's so self-evident that it's almost one of these lies in plain sight. It's just like Hunter Biden continuing to be at the White House and by Joe's side all the time. It's like, well, we're all in at this point. Why would we try to do anything else? I just think you can't underestimate the hubris of his inner circle and his enablers who want that access to power. But it is getting worse. Your eyes are not deceiving you, and the world sees it too.
Yeah, I mean, the world, you can't help but see it. It's like you look at him, you say, are you sure this is the guy you want to put forward for the next round? I mean, I can't think the Democrats are going to do that. We'll continue to watch it, but I think you're right. By the way, this cocaine that was found in the White House, we haven't had you on since this all happened. Why is it taking so long? You've got the preeminent law enforcement agencies in the world working on what is basically a simple Detective 101 case about cocaine found in a certain place, and they have all the resources they need to investigate. Why do you think it's taking so long to get an answer there? What do you think is behind all that?
Well, Brian, have I missed anything? Has the DNA or the fingerprints come back yet? I don't.
Not that I've heard. No, I have not. I have not heard that.
How long does that take to run against the database? It makes me think of the Supreme Court leaker. It makes me think of the pipe bombers on January 6th. It makes me think of other investigations that we never got an answer to because no one wanted us to have an answer to them. And I think, the Secret Service is the same entity that covered for Hunter Biden when he dumped a gun outside of a school. You want to believe they're above board until someone looks at them and says, do not release this finding, or someone interested in it affects the outcome. It's staggering to me that we couldn't get an answer, but it seems possible that we won't because this White House has gotten away with everything, and the media is not interested in finding out about it. So we should, if anything's above board this week, we were supposed to find out on Monday, and here we are on Wednesday. I don't know. Your guess is these days, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, it is concerning because this area where the cocaine was found is, I've been to the White House a lot of times as a reporter, and we go through the Northwest Gate. This is the west entrance off the Executive Drive, and this is pretty high-level entrance. The people who come through that drive are people who, are pretty high-ranking officials of the administration or the military or some agency. These are not, your run-of-the-mill tourist or, those ne'er-do-well journalists who come through the Northwest Gate. These are serious people. It is a high-trafficked area, but the people who come through that are people who, have already been vetted or in the team, and everybody knows, by and large, it's not a tourist entrance. I can see how, when I went through the Northwest Gate, you had to go through your bag every day. You had to go through this whole rigmarole. But people who come through the West Gate, if they got the right badge, they get waved right through. We're talking about the potential of somebody coming through that gate and through that entrance who was pretty high-ranking, who left cocaine behind.
I know. I've been through that gate many times, too. If you're a regular visitor, everything gets searched, which means they would have found that substance, that cocaine. If you're not,
Right.
you get weighed through. Which means, and you also don't bring cocaine to the White House casually as a visitor, right? You're someone who's familiar with the interworkings.
You know,
Right?
you go, why? You brought cocaine to the White House? What were you thinking? I know.
You only do it if you think you can get away with it, which means you're very familiar with the inner workings of the White House. And that means it's either someone high up or someone with regular access. And, of course, they don't want the world to find out. I just wish one process once would be above board, and it doesn't feel like this one's going to be.
Well, as we wind up, what's going on in Pete Hegseth world? What kind of things you got going on?
You know what I'm doing? I'm about to go outside and run my 5th annual home basketball clinic with my boys and neighborhood kids. So that's what's going on right now.
Oh, that's awesome. That is so
Yeah,
good.
we do. Every year we do a basketball clinic. I grew up in a basketball family. So we're about to sweat it out for 2 hours here.